"So, how's your first day experience?" asked Dev out of curiosity, rolling the metal spark wheel of the lighter with a rasp sound and burning the cigarette. "Night shift is really a bit, uncomfortable," Vatsal said with a little drowsiness, but considering the money you were paid, it seems fine, right? Also, it's just about Saturdays. On other days, I've normal shift." "Same here," said Dev. "It is really tough for the first few days through. Then you get habituated, everything becomes simple and easy, and boring too." It was 20 past 11 at night by my watch, which was literally increasing my anxiety as I had not seen any trace of any bus at all during the time while we were standing at the bus stop. "Do you think we'll be able to reach home at all?" I asked. "I mean, it's really late." "Where do you live?" "Victorious, near Livingpore." With an unpleasant smile he informed, "Well, I don't think there's any Livingpore bus after 11 p.m. Sorry. I thought you were going towards Bursat." His words made me immensely disappointed. It was the worst that could happen after the day's long, hectic work. Just then, we saw a bus coming and needless to say, it was Dev's ride back home. The light from the headlights fell on our faces as it was coming close and then it halted just in front of us. Before boarding the bus, he advised me to go back to the office, spend the night there and come back to the bus stop early in the morning as the bus service towards Livingpore was supposed to be resumed from 6 in the morning. I waved him goodnight, though the word good seemed kind of sarcasm for the worst night of my life. So, in the end, I was all alone standing with my brown satchel at Romaine bus stop, which was eventually a no man's land at that very moment. Then my puzzled mind decided to walk back to the office after a moment of serious thinking as if I had been provided with millions of options. By the way, I must admit that it was really a pleasant rural nocturnal view of the second week of December. The vast paddy fields were on my right and small pea fields and few houses were on my left. I could see forlorn images of trees here and there, though not clearly enough as the whole surroundings seemed slightly foggy while I was walking towards my office. This part of the town was more like countryside, bare and seemingly forgotten. The moon was my only friend assisting me silently. One or two owls, sitting on the branches of trees, were looking at me with their round wide eyes and hooting, as if they were some alien deities smiling at me, at my poor fate. The cricket sound was the only sound breaking the quiet of night, apart from the owls. I checked my watch with a long sigh of despair. It was 10 to 12. On the spur of the moment, a foggy breeze chilled my skin. The mystic nature of it started creating a hazy, spooky ambience around me. I could hear the rumble of a bus while the lights were gradually coming close to me. When it was close enough and slowed down, I saw Sector 9C written on it. It looked like a small, green, ancient machine which had been forgotten, just like this deserted land. The entire structure resembled to a giant tin can with slight dents all over its body. However, my joy knew no bound when I discovered it was heading towards Livingpore. Without wasting any more time, I got into the bus quickly and it started rolling again, rapidly piercing the calmness of the night, jerking all the way because of the rough countryside road. There were about 5 or 6 fatigued passengers looking half dead just like me. Taking the headphone out of my bag, I plugged that in to engross myself into music, having my eyes closed. Suddenly, the utter silence was disturbed by a quarrel. An old man was teasing and shouting upon a young lady. She was trying to protest, but he was angrily warning her to shut her mouth, constantly accusing her of something. "What's the matter? Please just stop quarreling at midnight," I shouted, being irritated. "The day's hectic work is enough. Just stop whatever it is." The man, with his smoky gray hair, faded skin and musty clothes, had a devious look altogether. Hearing my last words, he glanced at me with his gunmetal eyes while grabbing the nearest seat in such a way that I could sense disgust and anger in it. The conductor, who had been sleeping all the time, suddenly woke up asking, "What happened? Why so much of this noise?" "Nothing, just take that fare," I answered, and just by that the situation was managed. When the lady turned to me, I realized that I knew her. She had been one of my closet and oldest friends since college life. "Wow, Vatsal, what a surprise," she said with soothing voice sitting beside me. "Richa," I said astonishingly, "and it's been really long. It's like 3 years since I last saw you." She had glossy skin, slender eyebrows, and honey-sweet voice, which I always adored. Her sharp, curious eyes were looking straight at mine. Her coal black hair was plunging over her shoulders. With her faded green salwar kameez and shaded yellow scarf, she was looking vibrant and beautiful. "Long enough. Never thought we would meet like this," she said, smiling at me. "Look at you, your look has completely changed. Yours too." "I was almost not able to recognize you," I said, and we both laughed just like old days. Her angel white teeth were gleaming at me every now and then. In a lonely night, meeting an ancient friend and an ancient bus did not seem like the worst night at all. Moreover, it felt good inside while sharing thoughts among us and recalling our old memories. "So, what are you doing these days?" I asked. "Nothing much. Just teaching at a primary school. Sometime give tuitions. On Saturdays I have to do some crappy job to bear the cost of my mother's medicines." "Why, what happened?" I inquired. "She has a stone in her kidney. Not serious though, but doctors said better to do the surgery within few months. Everything will be completely fine after that." "Oh, what about your father?" I asked. "He died about a year ago getting struck by lightning." "I'm sorry. Initially it was difficult, you know. But everything is fine now. I'm also thinking to leave this job after this month, just receiving my final salary. I've saved enough money for my mother's operation." Then we remained silent for a moment. I realized that her circumstances were not good enough, but she was a tough girl indeed. I noticed that awkward old man's dead, emotionless eyes were fixed on me. When our eyes met, he queerly looked away. I could not understand what the problem was with that person, but his behavior started irritating me. The silence was broken by her question, "What about you?" "I am just the same, you can see. Executive officer at a call center at Romaine. Have to spend extra time on Saturdays. So here I am." "Do you still do that writing thing? Writing stories?" "Yup. Well, of course. But I do more reading than writing nowadays. Maybe lack of inspiration." Hearing my last words, she laughed strangely and implied, "I wish you get your inspiration very soon. Or maybe you can write about us." "Us?" I asked surprisingly. "Hell yes, of course," she said, being extremely excited. "Just think, like meeting one of your oldest friends in such a weird place, talking about old days. Pretty awesome, isn't it?" "Yeah, it's amazing," I said, smiling at her. "You never give up your excitement." "Do you?" "Never," she smirked. "So what about you, that girlfriend? Are you married?" "No, you remember, once you said that she was not going to last long? Same happened." She laughed. "Told you she was a bitch. But no worries, you're going to get a better one." "What about you?" I asked. "I score 0 in relationships, you know that." She replied. It was 12:30 by my watch and I was about to get down within few minutes. "Richa, would you give me," I stuttered. "Give you what?" "I mean, I was thinking if you would like to talk sometimes other than Saturday nights, you know." "Yes." "Fine." I could not figure out why she did not understand what my implication was. So, I idiotically gave her my number, writing on a paper. "Oh. You're just asking my phone number," she laughed and quickly took the mobile out of her bag. The screen was cracked from the corner. I had no clue how she typed my number on that cracked screen, but it did work and she rang me back. "You are very poor in asking a girl for her number, you know that," she said, teasing me. I smiled, being a bit embarrassed, and got down from the bus, bidding her good night. End of the first chapter, now the beginning of second chapter. After meeting her that night, I never regretted my night shift at all. Rather strangely, it felt kind of refreshing. Few days later, I tried texting her asking about going out sometime just like college days, but she never replied. Even I tried calling her, but her mobile was either unreachable or switched off. Days passed, and soon I was again standing at the Romaine bus stop like last Saturday. Dev had already boarded his ride, leaving me all alone standing there. This time, as I knew a bus to my destination was still there, I was not worried at all. But I was looking at my wrist every 5 or 10 minutes. Time seemed to be slowing down with every passing second. Finally, the little green grandfather bus arrived on time. Occupying the same spot and plugging in the headphone, I was lost in my own thoughts, not paying attention to the world around me. After a few minutes, my thoughts were disturbed, perhaps a peculiar feeling which I had no words to explain. I had no idea how much time had passed. Hence, I tried looking at my watch, but surprisingly, it was not on my hand. I pulled my phone out of my pocket. All of a sudden, the whole surrounding glittered for a moment with a flash of fork lightning out of blue, making me hear an ear-splitting sound of thunder. The phone was dropped from my hand due to a sudden jerk I felt. The screen got cracked. I peeked out of the window. It looked like a terrible storm outside. Before I could even think of how a storm like this was possible in such an odd season, the driver started shouting, "Brakes gone! Brakes gone," making me petrified. I tried to stand up and do something, but it felt like I was frozen and glued to the seat. Being utterly frightened, my mind just got blank. The bus was running recklessly on the rough, empty road. Suddenly, it veered abruptly to the left and trundled down the road, shattering the window glasses, probably hitting the sideway rocks. All I could hear was the shrilling sound of the metal screeching the road. Just then, Richa woke me up. Everything I had seen felt like a vivid, horrible dream. But it appeared to be really silly when I realized that I had been sleeping and dreaming all this. Glancing at my watch, I saw it was 10 past 12. Then I smiled, looking at her, trying to react normally. "Are you okay? You are sweating all over," she asked. I saw that strange old man again staring at me inexplicably. His awkward look again started irritating me. As I did not respond to Richa, she repeated her question. This time I replied, "Yes, I guess, I'm fine. It's just some weird dream." "What about?" Seeing her curious eyes, I could not help telling the entire story. After listening to me, she laughed loudly, making me feel embarrassed a bit. But her smile had an admirable charm always. It could make you forget all of your stress or tiredness. "Well, you could write your story on it," she said, laughing at me, which felt like sarcasm though. I replied that it would be a very bad idea, moreover it was dull and strange, although being scary. "Sometimes even stranger things happen," she said with a smile which I felt a little unusual. We continued talking about the old days, smiling and laughing at each other for a few minutes. The bus was rolling at its usual speed. The night outside was dark. The only light source that slightly influenced the darkness was the moon. "Hey, I tried texting you one day, but you didn't reply," I informed. She did not comment instantly, so I kept on saying, "I called you also, even I think you picked it up, but I couldn't hear anything from your side. This has been happening for a few days. I think I have some kind of problem in my phone, lately." Surely, it was surprising that her phone was even working with such crack on its screen. "You need to repair it soon," I suggested. "Yeah, I will." The bus was stopping once or twice only to pick up the passengers, because apparently the majority of the people who work late are from nearby cities like Livingpore or Barsat. No one was actually getting off. Hence, it did not take much time to get close to Victorious. It was time to say bye. I noticed that she had some kind of bruise on her right hand. It looked like a severe wound. I probably did not observe this earlier. "What's that?" I asked, indicating the injury. "Oh, that's just nothing. Just an accident long ago. Nothing serious," she replied hesitantly. "Some scars never fed away, I suppose." Her last utterance had a sense of pain which I could not neglect. "Hey, you can talk to me if there's anything that's bothering you, okay?" I felt like she had some issues that she had been dealing with. There was something she had not told me yet. "Yeah, I know," she replied. Thereafter, the bus reached my stop. Telling her that we would meet again next week, I got down the bus. End of the second chapter, now the beginning of third chapter. Next Saturday, when I reached my office, Dev told me that he had to go to Livingpore for some work given by our boss. He had already planned to leave the work early, but after this extra job, he could not help asking me, "Hey, Vatsal. Listen," he said, "I have to reach Livingpore at my uncle's house by 10 o'clock. But because of this task," he sighed. I knew that Saturday's office work was not that heavy at all. So, I suggested, "Maybe today I can manage this office. You go wherever you need to finishing the task the boss has given." A smile appeared on his face. "Thanks, man. I owe you a treat," he said happily, and left early by 6 in the evening towards Livingpore, which was at about 30 minutes distance by bus. In the end, at about 9 o'clock, everybody else had already left and I was working all alone in the office. On the other hand, Dev was supposed to catch the bus towards Livingpore and thereafter, probably enjoy a party. But the time passed by quickly. Soon I was standing at the Romaine bus stop again all by myself waiting for the ancient ride. It was a new moon night though. The surroundings seemed exceptionally dark as no trace of light was doing the job of providing a little bit of light to clear the darkness of the pitch black night. There was sheer silence prevailing everywhere. Even the cricket sound was also a little low. Finally, my tin can ride appeared just on time like previous days. Getting up, I grabbed the same deed again and plugged in the headphone just like every day. I was feeling extremely exhausted, like someone had put huge burden on my shoulder. Also, there was headache to make the condition worse. At that very moment, I got a call from Dev. "Hello. What's the matter, Dev?" I asked. I could not hear properly whatever he was saying. All I could hear was a weird unintelligible noise. Might is some signaling problem. Poor network is always a problem in these rural areas of India. I tried ringing him back twice, but it did not connect. Richa got it at Crystal as usual. But she looked down today. Inquiring her about it, I came to know that she was also tired and exhausted. Quickly I tried spotting that irritating awkward old man but could not. His absence provided me with a sense of relaxation. She, being silent for some time, was looking out of the window. Then she murmured, "I wonder you remember?" "Remember what?" Resting her head on my left shoulder, she whispered, "The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep." She sighed as if something was going on in her mind. "And miles to go before I sleep," I said, recalling Robert Frost, "and miles to go before I sleep." "But the wind of circumstances, you know," she said with a sullen face, "sometime you just don't get to walk miles." "Well, true, you can't control the wind, but can adjust your sails," I replied, looking at her. A fainted smile appeared on her face. "Doesn't it look like? I mean this moment, kind of meeting at night?" she asked curiously. I was surprised that she continued to talk about poems. Laughing at her, I replied, "It looks like you are in a poetic mood." "Yeah, but, answer me. Things like that don't happen, you know." "What? Secret love?" "No. The entire concept of love, you know, that we read in novels, poems, or watch in movies. I'll love you until I die, and even after death, or I meet you once at the clouds. Such things seem overdramatic." "Why's that?" "'Cause practically it doesn't happen, and it's strange that people believe this falsity." "How do you know?" "Sometimes even stranger things may happen," she replied with a warm smile. After that, I don't know how much time I talked, but finally I dozed off due to tiredness. She suddenly woke me up, shaking my hands as if she was panic-stricken. I was having a severe abrupt headache, felt like someone had pinned my brain. My vision was blurred because of the pain, and the surrounding sounds seemed to be echoing. I could hear her voices saying, "Wake up, Vatsal. You have to get down. This is your stop. Now. Wake up." It might be my imagination, but she sounded like shouting at me, being extremely stressed and tremendously frightened of something I didn't know. She was so close to my face that I could look like everything was fine. Most probably, I saw similar scars on her forehead as I had already seen on her hand, though I could not tell with certainty. Just then, I heard an unexpected raucous voice saying, "Get down. This is your stop." Then it shouted, looking at Richa, "This is your entire fault. He should not be here. I told you the very first day." Surprisingly, it was that awkward old man. I was fossilized for a moment, seeing him out of nowhere standing right beside me. Who the hell was he? Why was he there? Why he was talking to us? Everything was beyond my understanding as I was puzzled altogether. So, I asked in a sluggish tone, "What's going on? Is everything all right?" "Sorry, son. You don't belong here," whispered that awkward person. "You need to get down. Now," she shouted again. I stood up and noticed that the bus was not moving. It was stopped. There might be waiting for me to get off. The lights of the bus were dim and flickering now and then. 6 or 7 people were sitting there with their inscrutable bloodless faces. All of them were staring at me silently. The weird ambience influenced the gradual increase of my heartbeat. But before I was able to say anything further, she pushed me towards the door. While I was stepping down the stairs, my phone started ringing. It was Dev again. All of a sudden, I felt a remarkable change as the fresh air outside the bus reduced the headache along with my drowsiness. "Hello," I said, picking up the phone. "Vatsal, can you hear me?" said Dev. "Yeah." The bus engine started rumbling. Peeking through the Y,